They hired an illegal alien from Jamaica as a summer reserve police officer, and the illegal alien was hired by the Old Orchard Beach Police Department as an officer. He was nabbed last week by ICE when he tried to purchase a handgun. An illegal alien. That's bad enough, it being an illegal alien. An illegal alien purchasing a handgun, and an illegal alien purchasing a handgun who works for a local police department. What could possibly go wrong? And so now, of course, the wokesters who run the town of Old Orchard Beach are blaming Homeland Security and the E-Verify program, et cetera, et cetera. We wanted to check in with Todd Lyons about this issue and several other issues involving immigration and customs enforcement. He's the acting director, and he's a Boston guy. He used to run the Boston office. And thanks for being with us again here on the Howie Carr Show, Todd. And why don't you react to the hiring of this illegal alien for the Old Orchard Beach Police Department?
Hey, Howie, thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's ridiculous that they hired him. So I know that the town has said that he checked out in E-Verify. Well, the problem is he came under the Biden administration. He came in here, overstayed his visa back in 2023. And back then they gave people work permits. And right, he had an authorized work permit at the time, but not to be a police officer. Every time he had a gun out on the street, and I'm doing air quotes when he was working, he was a felon in possession of a firearm. And the police chief in Old Orchard Beach and whoever gave him a gun to go out every night and serve the streets was given an illegal alien a firearm, which under federal law is a crime. And, you know, E-Verify doesn't take the place of common sense. Anyone who thought hiring an illegal alien was a good idea is far from the truth. He put that city, and that police PD leadership put the city in such a dangerous spot. What if this illegal alien shot somebody? What if he was in a car accident? The city would be held accountable on so many fronts.
Yeah, you know, she's, and I was looking when she was hired, she was talking about how they really had to do a lot of checking into the offers are based on candidates that she's talking about other people that are hired. This isn't a story when she was hired as the police chief in 2022 in the Press Herald, the Portland paper. The offers are based on candidates successfully passing background checks, polygraphs, and psychological and physical exams. Do you think this illegal alien had any of those checks, Todd Lyons?
Well, I tell you, Howie, ignorance is not an alibi. And if a police law enforcement leadership team thought that hiring a foreign national that was in the country illegally to give that person a firearm was smart, then again, they needed to educate themselves on federal criminal immigration law, because every time whoever issued him a gun to go out on duty, they were committing a crime as well. So this is one case that I definitely want to see the Department of Justice go all the way and hold everyone accountable on this one, because this is so far from the right situation. You should never hire someone that's in the country illegally, whether or not it says they're authorized to work or not. Who in their right mind would give a foreign national a firearm and say, go be a police officer?
Yeah, you know, there have been conflicting stories that as a reserve officer he wasn't carrying a gun, but we've seen the pictures on Facebook. So have you at the police department. He's got a gun when they're swearing him in. It's on his hip. You know, he was carrying a gun.
Yeah, Howie, and again, that the proof is in the photo, right? And
yeah.
that was out there on their public sites, and all that information has been given to the U.S. Attorney's Office. So we'll see where this one goes. Someone needs to be held accountable for this, because, like I said, ignorance and poor judgment is no excuse in this case.
Again, this is from the Portland Press Herald when the Chief Chard was promoted. New officers who have not been to the Maine Criminal Justice Academy for an 18-week training will be scheduled to do so. I wonder if he had any if he went to the 18-week program. And there is a lengthier period of field training, a total of 22 weeks with another officer before new hires are considered ready to patrol on their own.
Well, and Howie, what's even better about this one is that gun shop owner obviously coordinated with the ATF, who let us know about that individual. That gun shop owner knew with that application this person shouldn't have a firearm. And he's not in law enforcement leadership.
That's a really good point. I'd forgotten. I hadn't considered that. Yeah. The guy who owned the gun shop knew more than and what social security number was he using, and what driver's license was he using?
Howie, this just shows that under the last administration, all the problems that you and I talked before when I led the Boston office are now coming back to bite us. Because, again, there were so many people that were just allowed in here to stay, allowed in here and just given fraudulent work docs, fraudulent social security numbers, and everyone turned a blind eye. And now we're having to make up for all these poor mistakes the last 4 years.
Yeah, and people are pointing out that this is Cumberland County, which is Portland, and they had an illegal alien from the Congo working as a prison guard in Cumberland County Jail. He was arrested in April.
Well, you know what, Howie, this kind of goes back to, so federal law is the law of the land. How would this illegal alien deal with another criminal illegal alien he encounters on the streets? Because at the time of him carrying a firearm in his official duties, he was a criminal illegal alien. So as we're asking, law enforcement agencies in Maine to help us track down and arrest these criminal aliens that are prying on our communities, we have one working for them.
It's crazy. Well, I'm going to ask you about something else in Norwood. Norwood is just south of Boston, and they arrested six illegal alien women last week in Norwood. It was a break-in, and notified of the arrest, U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement took three of the women into custody immediately after they posted bail. ICE also detained two male relatives who arrived at the courthouse to post bail, police said. So ICE is getting some cooperation with some police departments in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Todd.
Yeah, we definitely are, Howie. And, what I think we're seeing is a lot of law enforcement, officers and police departments are frustrated with the fact that they keep encountering the same criminal aliens over and over. You have these foreign nationals that are committing heinous crimes that wouldn't be allowed out if we were U.S. citizens. Yet these officers have to turn a blind eye to it and not work with their federal partners. So in cases like this and other cases across the country, we're seeing a lot more agencies step up and, take ICE on as the viable partner they are. And we're actually getting the worst of the worst out of here.
Yeah, I haven't seen any complaints or heard any complaints from anybody in Norwood about the fact that ICE was called. You guys, you Gestapo Nazi types with your masks and your unmarked vehicles. Everybody's glad. I mean, houses getting robbed in broad daylight by six women, who are quote unquote Maryland women as they're described, but they're not from Maryland. They're illegal aliens, and two of them had altered fingerprints. Nobody who's up to any good alters their fingerprints, and it usually means they're not. It almost always means they're not Americans, doesn't it, Todd Lyons?
100%. How why would anyone just be sitting around their living room and decide it's a great idea to either take a razor blade or a lighter to their fingertips if you're out here trying to live the American dream? It's just not right. But to your point, much like the great leadership team in Braintree Police Department that reached out to ICE to work with us on cases where they had illegal nationals. They were breaking into houses that night using trail cameras and keeping, American homeowners under surveillance. That's when police leadership actually realized that ICE can actually make a very significant difference. And I'm excited when leadership teams reach out to us and want a partner like this.
I got to ask you about a story I saw today in the Daily Mail, a British paper, not an American paper. A guy named Robert Jacob Hoops. That name I'm sure rings a bell with you in Portland, not Maine, but Portland, Oregon. He's been charged in a violent attack on an ICE officer. He threw a brick at an ICE officer at the ICE headquarters in Portland and bloodied him. Hit him. The rock or brick hit him right above his eyebrow. Could have put out his eye. He was bleeding and bloody. And now this guy has been arrested, and he's being called a Quaker pacifist. A Quaker pacifist. The most loving, gentle person I ever met, said his girlfriend.
Yeah, Howie, when I read that, I had to Google and ask ChatGPT what a Quaker pacifist was a few times, because when you see him on the video throwing the rock that hit my agent, and then when you see the poor agent with his eyes split open with a couple dozen stitches, that isn't a pacifist. That isn't a peaceful protester. That's an agitator, and that's an aggravated felon. And I'm very happy that he's being prosecuted. There's no place like that. There's no place if someone doesn't like what the mission of ICE is to cause violence and harm against an ICE officer or special agent. There's no place for it. And I'm very happy that the Quaker pacifist is now going to, be a judge and have his day in court.
His girlfriend is named Fable Sorensen. Fable, that's her name. And here's what she said when the cops arrived. Because everyone in my household is a safe, caring person. I was convinced they had the wrong house, and I couldn't understand what would warrant this kind of threat to our lives.
Well, that's the wonderful thing about the internet and closed circuit TV. She can see her pacifist boyfriend actually committing that aggravated felony. Howie, that just shows you how the left and some media outlets and some people just portray what these people are doing to ICE officers, agents, not only special agents and deportation officers, but their families as well. These officers and agents are some of the bravest men and women I know, and they should not put themselves in harm's way every day just to take the beatings that they do. It's not fair and it's not right.
Yeah, I'm going to read you another story here. This is the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. You know about the two teenagers that were killed by the convicted drunk driver from Honduras, who hasn't been expelled from the country. ICE wrote this headline, or Minnesota Star-Tribune, biggest paper in Minneapolis, Minnesota, wrote this. ICE wants to deport Wisconsin driver charged with being drunk, causing crash that killed 2 Minnesota teens. ICE wants to deport Wisconsin driver. You want to respond to that?
Yeah. Here's the best thing about that, Howie, is they should keep reading under that byline, because when they see that this wasn't her first DUI, that this could have been prevented, that the crazy sanctuary policies allowed this maniac to go behind the wheel again, and now we lost 2 innocent young teenagers, lost their lives because of this failed policy. ICE doesn't want to deport a driver. ICE wants to deport someone that's a felon, that, like I said, took the lives of 2 innocent teenagers. And that just shows you that sanctuary policies don't work, that what the left is saying about ICE is completely wrong, that we want to make America safe again, we want to make America's streets safe again. And that starts with deporting people just like that driver in that article.
Yeah, I noticed that, Mara Healey's running for re-election. The governor, Michelle Wu, is running for re-election. And Michelle is still kind of taking a hard line against ICE. But have you noticed that Mara Healey now is talking about how she likes working with her federal partners? I think that's involving the Braintree case. She's now calling you her federal partners.
Well, Howie, it took a long time, but I'm happy to take any cooperation we get. And if they want to work with federal partners, I think that's the greatest thing. We'll start small, but I'm very happy that some elected officials want to come around and see this. I think just from my time when I was there before, when you and I used to talk all the time, especially with all the problems with the shelters and hotels, you saw that ICE was taking out so many bad people out of Massachusetts. And that was under the last administration. Just imagine what we could do now with this administration, under the full backing of President Trump and Secretary Noem, what we could do to make streets and neighborhoods safer now. It'd be amazing.
So a texter says, ask Todd about ICE flights out of peace now that they've been stopped from flying out of Hanscom. Are you not flying out of Hanscom anymore?
We still do a little bit, but we still go to the north. It's better for us to use military bases, depending on where our detention space is. But, Howie, that's another thing when it comes to cooperation. Anytime that we have to do piecemeal, contract deals with agencies to house our detainees or beg and plead to keep aggravated felons in custody, we take all the partnerships we can get. And New Hampshire's been a great partner. The Air Force and DOD has been a great partner supporting us with airplanes. So we're going to keep doing that.
They just outlawed sanctuary cities in New Hampshire. They have a Republican governor who signed the legislation passed by the Republican legislature. I'll leave you with one last story here. This is from the Bulwark. I'm pretty sure it's a left-wing publication. Here's the headline: his name is Jesus. He's a carpenter. ICE arrested him. Seriously. He fled persecution in Venezuela, Jesus did, but he's been detained and sent to the processing center in Phillipsburg, 3 hours from where he lives in western PA. So the sob stories continue, Todd Lyons, but it sounds like you're not letting them get you down.
No, we're not, and we're going to keep arresting the Quaker pacifists and the carpenters that are out there
named
causing
Jesus.
crime. We're going to keep going.
Great. It's good talking to you, Todd. And thanks. You want to say anything to the police chief of Old Orchard Beach directly?
No, what I would just say is that you really need to read up on federal immigration law. And like I said, you can use E-Verify, but you need to really do your homework and learn the facts when it comes to giving an illegal alien a gun.
Thank you, Todd Lyons, Acting Director of U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and 95% at least of the population is with you for sure. And that includes even here in the